So having options when it comes to LED projects is always a good thing, and I recently came across what might be the best strip you've never heard of. In this video, I'll go over what makes this product so special, as well as showing you how you can easily get things connected to WLED. Opening things up, you have the guide to the remote, the controller where you connect the power and strips to, the actual physical remote, and finally, the main event, the LED strip that packs a whopping 96 pixels per meter, making it, from what I can tell, the highest density plug-and-play option currently available on Amazon in the US. Now what might actually end up being the craziest part is that these are being sold for around $30 for the entire 5 meter long strip. To somewhat put this in comparison, BTF Lighting sells a 1 meter long strip that has 100 LEDs for $19. 19 times it by 5 is $95 to get 5 meters worth of a similar density. Now I do say somewhat because all things aren't equal between the two. This new strip by Muzada allows for individual control of LEDs in groups of 3 compared to the BTF Lighting on the bottom, which allows for every single pixel to be changed. This is why you'll see cut points after every third LED here versus everyone down here. And you'll notice that the actual LEDs themselves are smaller on the Muzada product. Now all the projects I've done have never meant to be the main light source, so having a smaller pixel, at least for me, isn't going to make much of a difference since all I'm doing is creating accent lighting. And finally, the new strip up top takes a 12 volt power source. This is very common and many people prefer the 12 volt over 5 volt versions because you won't need as many power injection points on longer runs. Moving on, let's go ahead and get this set up. Take the controller that it came with and plug it into the beginning of the LED strip. Then I'll be using an old 12 volt 3 amp power supply that I had laying around my house and connecting the barrel plug to the power end of the controller. Next, take the physical remote, point it towards the IR receiver, hit the red on button, and things should light up. From here you have a bunch of different animations you can cycle through, as well as controlling the speed of those animations and the brightness. And as far as I could tell, the 3 amp supply was enough to power the entire strip at full brightness on white settings with no visible voltage drop in color. Now if you connected 2 of these together while using the same 3 amp supply, voltage drop for sure became noticeable on the max settings. But I found that other than having them on solid white, all the colors and pretty much all animations still looked and ran great on the entire 10 meters at half brightness, only using the 3 amp supply at the beginning. Now before moving on, I want to thank Aura for sponsoring today's video. It's no secret that cybercrime and identity theft is on the rise and that it affects millions of people every year, costing them valuable time and money dealing with the repercussions. Aura has the #1 rated complete solution to protect you and your family from falling victim. They offer a completely free trial that gives you access to every feature so you can see firsthand all the benefits they provide. And if you sign up for that free trial using my link in the description, I do get a small commission at no extra cost to you, which does go a long way in supporting this channel, so please make sure to check it out. Thank you all for sticking around, but now let's get back to the video. So at this point in time, curiosity definitely got the best of me, and I had to know if I could hook these up to WLED, and the answer is 100% yes. Now there are many different ways you could go about doing this, but I'll go over with you what I think might be the quickest. The first thing I'll do is remove the white controller that came with the strip. Next, I'm going to take an ESP32 device that already has WLED pre-installed on it, and if you're curious on how to do that, I already made a complete walkthrough tutorial of those easy steps that you can take a look at if you're interested. Here I'll be taking 2 breadboard jumper wires and attaching one to the GND pin and the other to the D2 pin of the module. Then on a lot of these power supplies that you buy, they're going to come with this barrel plug adapter like you're seeing here. You can go ahead and connect that to the same 12 volt 3 amp supply from the previous example that we used. Next, at the beginning of the LED strip, you'll see a red and black wire. These are your power injection cables that we can use for this setup. Strip back each wire and then put the red into the positive terminal of the barrel plug and the black into the negative slot. Give them a tug at the end to make sure they're in there nice and tight. Now let's go back to the ESP32 device. You're going to take the male end of our jumper wire coming from the GND pin and insert that into the slot of the connector piece that goes to the white wire. Then take the green male end of the jumper wire coming from the D2 pin on our ESP32 device and insert that into the middle slot of the connector piece that goes to the green cable. And finally, since our ESP module requires a 5 volt supply, instead of connecting a step-down converter, I'm just going to use an old micro USB phone charger I had laying around the house to provide the power. Now once you have things plugged in, go into the WLED app, Configure and LED Preferences. Scroll down and first make sure you have WS281X selected. Also, then make sure you have GPIO set to 2 since that's the pin we use for data in this example. Then for our length, we can do some quick math. We know that there's 96 LEDs per meter and that we have 5 meters, which gives us a total of 480 lights. But they're able to be controlled in groups of 3, so we need to divide 480 by 3, which gives us 160. This is the number that we can then put into the length field. You should now be able to control the lights like you'd expect using WLED with everything working as it should. The only thing you might need to further configure if the colors are off is the RGB order. To do this, go back into LED Preferences and under Color Order, try different ones until red shows when you select red, green when you hit green, and blue when you want blue. And BRG was the order that ended up working for mine. Now another thing I wanted to quickly mention is don't run your LEDs for very long at all if you're going to have them rolled up like I have here. Things will get hot pretty fast when the LEDs are stacked on top of each other like this, so if you're going to be testing things out for more than a minute or two, I would just recommend unrolling them at that point. Alright, so next let's plug in the second roll. Once it's connected, go back into LED preferences and change the length to 320. And here you can see the crazy amount of voltage drop like I was mentioning before when just having things on pure white. But on colors other than white and on animations, things look perfectly normal and something that would definitely pass my level of acceptability for the types of projects I do. So there's a lot of reasons to get excited about these strips, but I think for me, the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is the ability to try these out on much lower profile diffuser channels in which using a strip with only 60 LEDs per meter would have very visible hotspots. Increasing the pixel density to close to 100 is going to open up the door for many more options. For example, this is probably my overall favorite design when it comes to diffuser channel. It has a couple different mounting options, including the traditional wall brackets or the ability to hang it from the ceiling using their wire system. This for sure opens up a lot of possibilities for fun projects down the road that I definitely want to explore at some point. It also has a flat top, so any kind of angled cut you make for corners should butt up perfectly against each other. I love how the diffuser extends a little bit down each side, so not only to get light out the top, it'll also cast a glow left and right. And finally, the mounting track on the bottom meant for the wire system can also be used for running any additional power injection wires that you might need. Now the only reason I have yet to use these is because while very close, they do not quite create a perfect neon glow when using a strip that has 60 LEDs per meter. However, when paired with a strip that has 96 LEDs per meter, the results are very much perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and quick hang up 10 meters of these channels to see how everything looks using the new strips. And if this was something I plan on keeping up for a long time, I'd probably use the brackets. But for the sake of not having to spackle a bunch of holes later, I'm going to just use some 3M strips to secure the diffusers to the wall. Now one thing I do to make sure I get as seamless of a look as possible is to cut the aluminum profile in half. I'm using a basic miter saw, but this step could also be done with a regular hand saw. And all this is doing is making sure that our plastic diffuser covers and the aluminum joints aren't coming together all at the same spot. What we really want is for the plastic diffusers to come together in the middle of the aluminum profile like you're seeing here. Next, I'll just begin getting things set up on the wall for our demo. And in case you're wondering, the back side of this strip has your normal sticky tape like you'd expect to see on most other products. In my brief time using these, everything is still holding strong. So at this point, I already have my first 5 meter strip on the bottom channel, and now I'll be connecting the beginning of my second strip to the end of the first. And then here I'll be snapping the plastic diffuser covers in place. As I'm finishing up, for testing these out, I'll be using the same 12 volt 3A supply from earlier, which will be connected to the beginning of the bottom strip right here. I'll first demo some of my favorite animations running the WLED setup that I went over in this video. I'll then connect the default controller that these come with and demo some of the animations using that setup. Now as you're watching these WLED animations, I want to give you some final thoughts. What makes this product so special is not that it has 96 LEDs per meter, it's not that it's fully addressable in groups of 3, and it's not even that it works flawlessly with WLED. What makes this so special is that it does all of those things at a price point of under $30 for a 5 meter roll. That's what's so compelling about this strip, and why I think once word gets out, they're going to have a hard time keeping this in stock. So I'll keep playing a few more of my favorite WLED animations, but then I'll switch things out and go over the default ones that the strip comes with. Now as you're watching these animations that are part of the default controller/remote that they come with, I do want to make it very clear that compared to the Govee and especially the WLED options, these are about as basic as you can get, and that's okay. This is not what makes the product so special, and more than likely will not be the reason you'd consider buying these. So I'll keep playing a few more examples, but that about wraps things up for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a blessed day.